So my head is getting so hot, but we're going to be giving these out to not the obvious ones. This isn't going to be a Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje gets an award. This isn't going to be a Conor McGregor gets the award for greatest welterweight all time. We're going to give it to the people that deserve recognition that you probably forgot about, because I was going through everything. More like
low-key people under the radar.
Yeah, it's low-key under the radar stuff. Okay, top fights. One of my favorites from this last year was Brian Barbarina versus Jason Witt. And I sound like a broken record because I feel like I just talked about this, which I did, but we're going to talk about it again. Okay. What made this fight so intriguing was obviously Brian Barbarina. He's an absolute killer. He brings the fight to people every single time. And Jason Witt, he's a wrestler. He was coming off a knockout loss, I think, to Matt Semmelsberger. But the crazy part about this fight was that it was ingrained into my mind, and as soon as it happened, I'm saying, dude, this is gonna
be a fight of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention this for sure. Jason Witt, I think he lost his mouth guard. He goes down, bends down, and tries to get it. Brian Barbarina goes and still tries to crack him. And every time Brian Barbarina looks down and out after he gets taken down, he gets up.
I'm surprised, like, that he reached for it mid-fight, because a lot of times if it happens, the guys will just leave it out,
or the referee will stop it. Yeah.
Well, usually they'll just leave it on the ground until the round's over.
Yeah.
He tries to get it, and it's like, obviously you're gonna get cracked or something. They're gonna try to hurt you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my third. That's one of the funniest fights I've ever seen. Okay. Second one is we discovered a new prospect, David Onama versus Mason Jones. David Onama steps in on short notice for Alan Patrick. They were trying to get that rematch in because Mason Jones accidentally poked Alan in the eye. Anyways, we discovered a fantastic prospect that fought at 155, usually fights at 145. David Onama, he's an unbelievable athlete, and he's stuck in with a guy that people believe could be a future champ in Mason Jones. Every time Mason took him to the ground, David Onama stood right back up, cracked him with shots, made an unbelievable fight out of it. One of a myriad of fights that occurred this year that were in which the underdog came out victorious, even though they might have not necessarily won. But there were so many underdog fights that just goes to show the evolution of sport is just growing rapidly. Like, people were becoming so good, and guys that are so young, like, I have an award for a person that's basically 22 years old and is killing absolute savages.
Don't give it out yet.
You know, it's hard for me. But David Onama versus Mason Jones, if you haven't seen that fight, go back and watch it, because David Onama puts on a hell of a performance. And in my opinion, I wanted him to win, but Mason Jones probably did enough. But David has such a bright future, so I'm super pumped for him. And then for my favorite fight, and then I'll name a couple of honorable mentions, but for the craziest fight of the year by far had to been the Benoit Saint Denis versus Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. The amount of heart that this man, Benoit Saint Denis, or however freaking John Annie says
probably right,
Saint Denis, but he is the toughest man on planet Earth. Special Forces, as you could tell by the broadcast team, they really hit that one home. They're like, no other man could probably be taking this beating. And then obviously the referee got kicked out, like we were discussing in our last episode. He lost his duties for the rest of the night because he should have stopped the fight. But Benoit takes it to a freaking decision after getting the crap beat out of him, but then almost coming back.
Yeah,
people were like,
the thing how too, is this guy? They were like, okay, this is done. Wait a second.
Yeah, because Zaleski, he was exhausted because he finished the fight on 3 separate occasions, it seemed like.
No, yeah, literally different. It should have been
standing TKO multiple times. But Benoit stayed in there, made a fight out of it, got it to a decision. By far one of the craziest things, if you want to scream and just be actually kind of disturbed a little bit, actually.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, probably shouldn't have put a lot of. This fight's probably something the UFC wants. Like, nobody really needs to know about this fight.
Because that they could have gotten a lot of
really
trouble.
Embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah,
the reffing.
That's what we were saying. We're like, this is honestly embarrassing for them. But then he was doing okay, so then it was a little less worse. But
honestly, the UFC and commissions, they don't care about embarrassment because their judging is an embarrassment on a daily, weekly basis.
They need new judges.
Yeah. And then my honorable mentions: John McDessie versus Ignacio Bahamondes, TJ Brown versus Kai Kamaka, Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell. Basically, any Drew Dober, Brad Riddell, or Rafael Fiziev fight technically falls into the category of fight of the year because those guys are the most explosive people in the, pound for pound, they're the most explosive in the entire UFC.
Yeah.
Gotta love my sister's dog. I don't even know if you could probably hear, but
I don't know.
And then Frost Zion versus Luigi Vendramin was an insane fight.
Did you name the one that I think is top fight?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Guido Canetti versus Mana Martinez was absolutely insane. And then obviously Bianca's favorite was Billy Q versus Shane Burgos. Why was it your favorite?
That was like probably the most, like, you and I have watched a lot of UFC together, and not gonna lie, I'm not always in tune with it. Like, I'm not always like paying attention, but that fight I was probably the most invested in. Like, I was like, oh my God, that's good. Like, I just was. It was constant. It was a constant good fight, and I was just shocked the whole time.
And it got a little bit overshadowed, we felt like, because it was just already on just an absolute stacked card.
That card was already insane as is. So, like,
right.
Yeah. Because if that was by itself on like a different, that could be a main event.
That would have been fight of the year, probably.
Yeah, exactly, is what I'm saying.
Just because Gaethje and Chandler came in front of it.
On that, were the main on that one. Or no, they weren't the main, were they?
No. Hands down, though, Gaethje Chandler to Shane Burgos, Billy Quarantillo, those are the two best back-to-back fights that the UFC's probably ever had in the history of the sport. Yeah. Like, not even a question.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's just because it got stuck in the middle, and then obviously the main event was fantastic, that it just gets overshadowed. But that's that. So my award, Benoit, Saint-Denis, and Zaleski dos Santos. Here you go. Here's your freaking Ulti-Man.
Ulti-Man award. Let me see.
Here's your AGNG Ulti-Man award.
Yeah.